Okay, have you ever like just gone into a store just to pick up like one thing, like a new lamp, and then somehow like you end up like looking at throw pillows and like maybe even an area rug?
Oh yeah, definitely. Or like when you live in a city, like in a smaller apartment and you see these like IKEA ads with, nice furniture for good prices, but then you remember you have to go to that like huge store.
Yeah, those huge stores out of
Yeah.
town. Today we're going deep on IKEA, that global furniture superstore.
Yeah, the one with the Swedish meatballs.
Yeah.
I think their success comes down to like really knowing their customers, like what they want, what they like.
Yeah, exactly. And we're going to look at how they do that today. We're going to be referencing a cognitive market research article, which came out February 27, 2025. It's called How IKEA Leverages Market Research to Enhance Customer Experience and Drive Growth.
So we're not just talking about the furniture itself, but how they use information about shoppers to improve the whole shopping experience and how they keep up with how things change.
Yeah, so today we're going to figure out how they do it, how they use this market research to make those stores the way they are, how they adapt to more people living in cities, how they do sustainability.
And their technology. And of course, in the end, we'll see how all of that leads to growth and how they get people to keep coming back for more.
Sounds like a plan. Let's start with those stores and how they're designed.
Yeah.
Have you ever noticed how the layout is so like, oh, it's kind of a maze?
Yeah, that's on purpose. That's what they call a fixed path layout. It's designed to do something called the Gruen effect.
The Gruen effect. What is that?
It's like this idea from psychology that says when a store is laid out in a way that's a bit confusing, it gets people to look around more and end up seeing more things than they planned.
So it's not my bad sense of direction that makes me end up in the kitchen section when I just wanted a picture frame.
Nope, it's psychology. And you know those little room settings they have in the store?
Yeah, I love those.
Yeah.
It's like you can imagine how the couch would actually look in your living room.
Right. And research shows that when people can visualize stuff like that, they're more likely to buy it. Makes sense, right?
Makes total sense. And don't you think it's interesting how all those little things you need, like candles or batteries, they're always like right before the checkout?
That's not an accident either. That's a classic tactic to get you to buy more stuff at the last minute, those impulse buys. So the takeaway here is that the IKEA store layout is actually based on a ton of research.
It's like a psychology experiment you walk into.
Hmm.
So I guess next time I'm at IKEA, I'll be thinking about all of that.
Yeah.
But let's move on to something else.
Yeah.
How is IKEA adapting to the fact that more and more people are living in cities?
Right. Well, the traditional IKEA model, with those huge stores way out in the suburbs, that doesn't really work for city
Yeah,
dwellers.
it's not like you could just haul a flat pack sofa on the subway.
Yeah.
And city apartments are smaller anyway.
Exactly. So IKEA realized they needed to do things differently, and they've started opening smaller stores in city centers.
So it's like a smaller version of IKEA.
Right. They pick a selection of items that make more sense for city living, and they offer services like same-day delivery. And they're putting a lot of effort into making these stores sustainable too.
Oh yeah, I read about that new store they opened in Copenhagen with a rooftop park and everything. It's like they're really trying to fit into the city vibe.
Yeah, exactly. So the takeaway is that IKEA is really paying attention to big societal changes, like people moving to cities and figuring out how to adapt.
Which makes sense because if they don't adapt, they're going to get left behind. Speaking of adapting, have you noticed how much more people are caring about sustainability these days?
Oh, absolutely. It's a huge factor in buying decisions now, especially for younger people. IKEA is definitely aware of that too.
So they're not just jumping on the sustainability bandwagon. They're actually listening to what customers want.
Exactly. And they've set some pretty ambitious goals, like using 100% renewable energy and making all their products from renewable or recycled materials by 2030.
Wow, 2030, that's not that far away. But those are big goals, especially for a company as big as IKEA. It's one thing to say you're going to do it, but what are they actually doing?
A lot, actually. They have these buyback programs where you can sell your old IKEA furniture back to them. They're putting solar panels on their stores. They're working with suppliers who are environmentally friendly.
And they're using more sustainable materials for their furniture, right?
Exactly, like bamboo and recycled plastics. So it's good for the planet, but it's also good for business.
Yeah, it makes them look good. It's a win-win. So the takeaway here is that IKEA is taking sustainability seriously, and they're using market research to make sure they're doing the things customers actually care about. Now let's talk about technology, because it feels like everything is online these days. Yeah. How is IKEA keeping up with that?
It's so important to have a good online presence now, and IKEA gets that. They've really invested in their website and their app.
Yeah, their website is actually pretty easy to use now. It used to be a bit of a nightmare, but it's more than just the website, right?
Right, they have that app with the AR feature where you can like see how a piece of furniture would look in your
Oh,
room.
I love that. It's
Yeah.
so helpful because you can't always tell from a picture online.
Exactly. And they're also using AI for customer service, like those chatbots that pop up when you have a question. And they're doing a lot of data analysis to understand what customers are doing online.
So they can personalize things and make
Hmm.
recommendations and stuff like that.
Exactly. They're using something called predictive analytics to figure out what's going to be popular in the future. So the takeaway here is that IKEA is using technology in a really smart way to make the whole shopping experience better and more convenient.
Okay, so we've talked about the stores, the city stores, the sustainability, the technology. What's the overall impact of all of this on IKEA's business?
Well, they're doing pretty well, actually. All these strategies are working together to make customers happier and to help IKEA grow.
I mean, they're already a huge company, but it sounds like they're not just resting on their laurels.
Nope, they're constantly changing and adapting, which is really smart because the world is changing so
Looks
fast.
like they're always one step ahead trying to figure out what we're going to want next.
Right, and that's how they stay on top.
Yeah.
And they're using data to make these decisions, not just guessing.
And we talked about that city store in Paris earlier. That's a good example of that, right?
Yeah, they designed that store specifically for the needs of people in Paris. It's smaller, it's focused on convenience, it's all about adapting.
And the whole thing about being able to shop online and in-store, that omni-channel approach, must be a big part of their success too.
Definitely. It's all about creating a seamless experience for the customer. Whether you're on your phone or in the store, you should have a good experience.
It builds trust and it makes you more likely to come back. So the big takeaway here is that IKEA is a leader in the furniture industry because they're constantly innovating and really focusing on the customer. So to sum up today, we've learned that IKEA uses market research for everything from the layout of their stores to how they embrace sustainability. They're not just selling furniture, they're selling an experience.
An experience that's carefully designed and constantly being improved based on what customers want and need.
It's like a whole science behind it, and we don't even realize it when we're browsing for a new bookshelf.
Hmm.
So here's something to think about. Have you ever thought about how other companies might be using similar strategies to influence how you shop?
It's everywhere, really, once you start looking for it.
Yeah.
So maybe next time you're out shopping, take a closer look and see if you can spot those hidden strategies.
Yeah, it's like a little game you can play,
Hmm.
and it might make you think twice about what you buy.
Food for thought, right?
Exactly. Thanks for joining us today on this deep dive into IKEA,
It's been fun.
and we'll see you next time.
See you then.